All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado.
Chesko, as they call him.
What's up,
Chesko.
boys? How we doing?
Chesko Corrado with the pro athlete salute to begin the program.
Very respected, and the salute is going around the globe, I think. I've seen it in other places.
Is that right? Is that right?
It's a nice way to get things started.
I do think it's a pretty good icebreaker. I'll give you that. I think you guys should both be proud, and it's great to see both of you. Beautiful weather out there. Someone told me Duffy is golfing today, so that's nice to hear that JD's going to get out there and do that.
This guy went out to some place called Norwood Golf and Country Club, and it was kind of not that nice. It only got nice around 11:30 or something, and it just like kind of popped out of the sky, and it was instantly boiling. But it was not nice this morning.
It was beautiful in the afternoon, though.
Yeah,
but guys, it's a 3-club wind. So you haven't played.
Dude,
you're playing in a 3-club
some...
wind. You got mud on your ball. There's ponds in the middle of the fairway, guaranteed.
Yeah, you're
he
right.
is hitting it into some kind of casual water.
He has a group of goon buddies that, I don't know, it's like an underground society. They look for tee times when you shouldn't be golfing. Duffy's claim to fame is he had the best, and there was snow on the course. In Hamilton, dude, he shot 72.
Yeah,
Bill talks
and
about
he
it.
said he calls himself Winter Tiger.
Yeah.
Winter Tiger.
Yeah.
And he shot 72 in a snowstorm, he said. And this guy and his friends, they just run around and they play golf. He said he called his buddy this morning. He goes, look, man, there's snow on my lawn. We're not doing this today. And he wrote back, we're all good. We're good to go. I'll see you there. And he drove out to Knobwood or whatever the hell it's called.
It's incredible, man. And that's it. If you're a part of Fight Club, like if you're part of a secret society and you get called in, you have to go or you're cut out. And I will say the range by me, the outdoor range, there were guys out there absolutely slashing golf balls around.
Some guys with jeans on.
Yes, when I was driving.
Copperwood Range is open?
No, not my range. I wish it was, but there's a place just around the corner from me, an outdoor range with the mats. This guy, he's a great guy, the guy that owns it. He forgets that I go there every April. Like, that's my play, right? Like, because it opens 2 or 3 weeks before my place opens or anywhere else opens, and it's a local spot, great spot. And the mats that they use are just destroyed. Like, these things it's like you're hitting off cement, effectively. And they're torched up and they're cut up. And every single year, and I guarantee you this will happen, I might try to get there tomorrow. I walk in, he forgets it's me, and he goes, we got the new ones on order. They should be here any day now. Just use these mats until the new ones come in. He's been saying that to me for 5 years.
They're coming.
And
what kind of service do you think you're going to get tomorrow when this guy hears about it?
Well, that's a good point. I might not be able to show my face.
He's going to go into an outhouse and pick up a mat off the floor and then throw it exactly where you're hitting balls.
You know, he's going to go, we actually have a little patch of grass for you today, Brian. Just follow me
right over
here.
A little sinkhole. I disappear. You never hear from me again. If you don't hear from me again, you know where I am. Send a smoke screen out.
Yeah.
Speaking
you know where
of
I
golf, there was a horror show today, Justin Rose.
Oh.
And before, we could show whenever Joe gets the Justin Rose. But Hazy, you sent me something that gives me the heebie-jeebies. And before we go to break, in the first break, to celebrate the Masters coming up, we have to watch Ernesto Els put some Edward Scissorhands claws on and 7-putt the first green.
Why would you watch that?
It's
Dude,
sickening.
Hayes sent it to me the other day, and I'm like, I had just watched it a week before. It is the most frightening thing. He must have wanted to just run like right to the club. There's Justin Rose, man. That guy just skankballed one into the forest.
Man. Yeah,
that's an unbelievable shank.
Yeah, that is
unbelievable.
That is. You have to drop your club. You have to in a scenario like that to make everyone aware that
Act
you know
like
it was
some
a
guy,
shank.
some guy in a farm blew a horn or something, and you just start yelling at like anything.
Yeah, you got to blame someone for that. But yeah, we'll play the Ernie Els.
No, don't. I don't want to see that.
I think it sets a tone for next week.
Dude,
I do.
it
I think it sets a tone.
Because you know what the scary thing is? I think he might have come back and shot like 79 or something.
He was 2 over the rest of the round.
Yeah.
This guy played.
How he did that, I have no idea.
One of the great individual feats in sports history is Ernie Els doing that after that first hole.
I would have asked him, hey, do you mind? Can we put a plaque up? Because as goofy as that was, you kept it together, man, and we want to honor that.
Absolutely.
If anyone was going to keep it together, though, it would have been Ernie.
The
right?
Big Easy.
The Big Easy. We'll shake it off. Meanwhile, he probably wanted to throw his club every which way.
He did not want to putt again, I guarantee you that. But Kyle Porter, a guy he's a reporter. I think he works for, he's got his own shop. Anyway, he used to work for CBS. He posted recently like the worst score for each hole at Augusta National. And Ernie naturally holds it for one. It was a 9. It's a par 4. He took a 9. He 7-putted. The guy on 2 who owns the record, he put up a 10. It's a par 5. David Duvall owns that record. He had a 10-pack on 2 at Augusta.
Well, he must have ripped one left and hit it OB.
Yeah, it must have been OB, re-tee, and then he just started shaking from there. But maybe we'll get to that list a little bit later on. We got a lot to get to today. We got Brian Mudryk coming up, right? We got the Habs. Habs in action. The Habs are fighting it, and we'll catch up with Muddy a little bit later in the hour. And the Leafs coming off, I thought, a very impressive win and a very significant win, and one that they absolutely needed. Like everyone collectively said before the game, Barkov's out, which we heard 5 minutes before puck drop. Tkachuk is out, as we know. Ekblad's out. You're at home. You've been 0-2 against this team this year. You got to get them, and more importantly, you got to get them in regulation, and that's exactly what they did last night.
Well, let me chime in with some comments that I received bebopping around town today. What I got was this. Great win, but it was almost like people that are fans of the team were wondering if it even counted because of the guys they didn't have in the lineup.
Stop it.
And I had to say to them, I didn't want to sound like I was big leaguing them or anything. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just not the way it works in that league. Whoever the opposition dresses, you got to go out there and try to win the game, and they did. And I think it was impressive the way that they did it. No matter what, that Florida team, they're a championship caliber team. They've been to the Cup final 2 years in a row. They know how to play without a starting goalie, Matthew Tkachuk, Barkov. Other guys step up. That's how you win championships. They're not just going to say, oh, here's 2 points. They played a hell of a game last night without their best players. Yeah. End of the story.
Yeah, I was impressed by Florida last night.
But I thought the Leafs did some really good things. It was like, if they can bottle some of the things up last night, the one I told you yesterday, Hayes, and I documented, I had to chart some stuff for my next pregame, but their able to get to the inside of the ice on the forecheck, Mitch Marner's goal. It seemed like in the past against the Florida Panthers, it would be like Mitch gets pushed to the outside. It's like he's pushed to the outside. He's never in around the net. There he was right in the slot and ripped home the game-winning goal.
Well, I mean,
impressive stuff. Austin Matthews tipping pucks in front of the net. Matthew Nyes bullying his way on a breakaway where in the past that might have been a turn-up by somebody else. It was like board play was pretty solid. Tanevs and the Carlos of the world were solid. And the big guys showed up. They needed a goal, and they got it done. A lot of positives from last night.
In the grand scheme of things, now they made the playoffs, so that's going to be 9 consecutive years for them. You beat the Panthers. You needed to get a win. You needed your big boys to show up. So it's hard to show up today and dump on the team. But, like you talk about getting to the middle of the ice, do it when Barkov is playing. Do it when Tkachuk is playing. Like, I think those are still valid points to bring up coming off a game like that. And the thing about the Panthers is, to your point, Jeff, they check extremely well. And that's a game where, like, when they're checking you and they're always in your way, that's where the Leafs may have tried something a little more high risk or, say, like, we got to push it right now. We got to win the game. And they didn't do that. Like, they were patient, but still aggressive in the right ways, got their opportunities, and found a way to win. So that's great. But now, like, next step, do it when Barkov, do it when Tkachuk, do it when Ekblad and those guys are in the lineup, and now you're in business.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. Like, you can't say, oh, that game shouldn't even have counted last night, but what you could say at the end of it is it's going to be that much harder because they're going to be that much better of a team when those guys come back. So can you continue to elevate? And that's the thing, guys. I don't know if you noticed it last night. It was like a good quality team, even without those players. Every single little battle was contested. It was like Florida does not, and they've probably learned that going through their battles and winning a championship. It's like you can't take a little scrum off, a puck battle, on the yellow, anywhere. It's like, because they know it can make a difference in a game.
Yeah.
And you see the Leafs in the past, they've had do you remember that play that Matthews and Marner were playing hacky sack against Florida in their own zone, and it was like goofy time and it ended up in the back of their net? Those type of plays the Florida Panthers would never, ever do. So it's like every single play, and you've got to do it for 4 wins against a team like that. That's what we're talking about. And that's going to be the test the Leafs have. They always seem to get it to a Game 7 against good Bruins teams, but they fall short. Like, are they finally ready to accept what it takes to do that? And last night wasn't the be-all and end-all of the boat. It's a nice start going into really critical time.
Yeah, like we're still in the regular season. There's nothing you can do to project exactly what's going to happen come playoff time. All you can do is play the games that you're supposed to play, and you got to wrap up the season, and last night was significant. And I think there's 2 examples of that in the last week. The game in L.A. last week, which finished 3-1. The one last night that finished 3-2. Like tight checking, tough, kind of championship-built teams that the Leafs found a way to prevail. And I think it was a very similar storyline because there's always thin margins that can flip the mood and the reaction to a game. I thought the Matthews line in the second period was horrendous. Like, they got caved in. They were awful. Like, they brought nothing to the table in terms of pushing play. If anything, I thought they were on their heels and in their zone and just trying to get to the bench basically throughout the period. And it was kind of similar to that in L.A., where like the first 2 periods, they were okay, not great. And then in the third period in L.A., Matthews and Marner with Nyes said, we're taking this game over. And that's exactly what happened last night. And I think that's significant that the leaders and the best players were the ones to do that last night. And like Matthews, I thought was great. Marner, you make a good point. Like him being in a position where if you get that puck on your stick, too, you got to score, man, because Bob was ready to play last night.
Yeah, he was.
Like, Bobrovsky was ready to play. I think Stolarz was great. Stolarz was very significant.
Dude, that pass for Mitch Marner, that is like...
To Matthew Nyes was unbelievable.
Take that, I think we take that for granted sometimes because we see this kind of stuff so often from him, but that is a silly... Like, that is stupid good,
yes.
That pass.
That's 3 lines it's crossing and in the air.
It's not a 3 foot in the air, like, meatball saucer pass. That's a wrister bullet 6 inches off the ice landing perfectly saucer pass. Like, yeah. But that's... And I think that kind of brings us back to the whole playoff picture. It's like, that's how skilled you are, and that's what you can do to be game breakers, and it's like, that's what you want to see. So it's good. Like, you see it now, that's great.
And that's what you've got to do. And furthermore, if you get those opportunities, you got to close them. And that's the significance of Matthew Nyes and him doing what he did last night. He didn't panic and get the shot off quick. He didn't allow the defender to really get a position on him because he's so big and he used his body and he used his feet. And he made a skillful play.
Really skillful.
That's a skillful play, man.
It is when you have a guy draped on you like that. And just for all the turkeys out there that are always like, you're too hard on the guys. You're a Mitch hater. You know what we just did? We appropriately pumped Mitch Marner's tires because he deserved it. He's one of the best players on the ice. He came through in the clutch. He was a team leader. He made the plays when it counted. He was counted on. And I don't even think he had his complete A game last night, and he was still the decision maker.
Doesn't that show you, though, how good those guys can be? Like when it's not
exactly
100%, it's like you can still factor in. And I think with a team like Florida and the way they play, and this sounds crazy to say, but you just can't get bored. Like, you can't get bored playing a game where it's like nothing's happening for a bit, nothing's happening, and you just got to work through it. Like, you have to stick with it and hope that maybe it's minute 55 of the game, but that's your opening. And you just chipped away at it.
That's it, man.
And you didn't open it up earlier than you had to.
That's how you're likely going to win, is like you're going to win 3-1, 3-2, 2-1, and it's an opportunistic play where you're the one that breaks through. And, I look at the top 6, because Nyes and McMahon, I think they just fit really well with the other 4 guys. Like it's the best combination they've had if they're going to stick with this and not spread the wealth, which they're not going to. Because even the first goal, like that's a brilliant play from Willie, and it's a really crafty play from Tavares. Like he goes to the net, he downplayed this how difficult that tip can be. That's a difficult angle. Like you got to be the stick's on the other side. He didn't backhand it in, like to forward tip a bullet pass like that from Nylander, like that's a tough skill play.
That's Jeff O'Neill-esque, right there.
That is Jeff O'Neill-esque.
That is not even close, because I would be the guy where Willie was, and I'd be shooting the puck on net. But John Tavares, like him and Patrick Kane in this generation, there's not many guys better around the net. Like Plain and simple.
Yeah,
Deflections,
exactly.
little plays like that, backhanders, in and tight around the
Like
net.
him and Sid. Sid's really good at that too, right? Like those guys made their living
I'm
there.
very sorry I left out Sid because
Right.
he's at the top of the food chain for that one. Sid can stand there and literally just like tomahawk chop at pucks on the ice and they go under the bar.
5
for
feet
goals.
wide. He'll be like, no,
5
just,
feet wide.
dude.
and
He would tell guys like, don't worry, just shoot it 5 feet wide. I'll try and get a stick on it, no problem. And you're like, okay, go
That's
for it.
pretty good. I mean, that's what you're looking for. That's why they are who they are. But, they all factored in. It's Tavares and Nyes and Marner. And again, I think the core four being who they are and what is expected, it's only going to elevate. And I think that is kind of where a lot of Leaf fans are driving at. It's not even about the Barkov, Kachuk, Ekblad absence. It's all right, we saw you guys do what you did last night. You have to do that again in the playoffs. Like it's more of I think, an introverted look at the team. And as a fan, kind of wondering when is that going to happen consistently for a run. But I think with Nyes doing what he's doing, that's 26 he scored last night. Again, I thought Bobby McMahon was good last night. I thought he used his wheels. I thought he was in on the forecheck. Like he's you know what he is. You know what he's going to be. But if you're going to stick with those four guys playing together in that combination, the other two guys have got to contribute as well. And they did that last night. And I think maybe the most significant hurdle that leaped over last night was what we talked about all day yesterday, and that was Stolarz. And I thought he made some great stops in the second period. And even in the third, like he looked big. He matched Bobrovsky, and that's big, I think, for his psyche. He had to beat his former team. They had to get a win last night, and Bob showed up to play.
Yeah.
And it's not like Bob was leaky and you won 6-1 and Bob got pulled. Like Bobrovsky was there to play. They were on a back-to-back. They were missing guys. And there were some leaky moments, which is going to happen. And when it breaks down, you need to be able to rely on your goaltender. And I thought Stolarz played really, really well last night.
There's like, coaches will always say this thing: we got to bend but not break, right? Because the other team's going to have a push, especially if it's a team as good as Florida, and you'll see it for 5-10 minute segments even. But you can't bend and not break without a goaltender that makes the saves for you. And I think like that's the takeaway with Stolarz. Like so many times this year, he has given them that opportunity where like the levee doesn't break and they can stay in it, and he gives you a couple saves, and now that buys your best guys time to get going, which is
my
what we saw.
philosophy, Frankie, is the goaltender saves a lot of time in the video room, because if he makes the save, you're probably not sitting in a room somebody's saying, you lost your check there, you got to get lower here, he can save a lot of people headaches.
Yeah, he can.
With just the save.
Because then it becomes nitpicking after. Then it's like, okay, do I really need to show him on this one? We didn't get burned for it. So, it just kind of keeps everyone a little, eases the tension.
You want positive vibes around the team right now, and I think that's what Berube's looking for. Like, that was a hard-fought win, 2 points. You can see up on the screen right now, the odds to win the Atlantic, courtesy of FanDuel. The Leafs are now minus 155. It's interesting that it appears to be a two-horse race. I'll believe that when I see it, that Florida is officially out. But that was big last night. Like, with only so many games left, they still go down to Florida next week. They play Florida on the front end of a back-to-back, which I don't love if I'm the Leafs.
Yeah.
Because then you're going into Tampa on a back-to-back, and Tampa's the team that is really fighting with you right now because they're right behind you with a game in hand. But Leafs minus 155 to win the division. Tampa plus 155. The Panthers are plus 900.
Dude,
that's big, man.
Florida's like they're below 500 like in their last 10 games, but they did this last year at this time too, where they were kind of in this daze or whatever, and then once the playoffs picked up, it was go time.
Yeah.
So as much as they might not be in the whatever you want to call it in the runnings for first in the division, I still don't want to see that.
You prefer
team
not
to
play them, and if anything, last night may have been significant in terms of home ice for the Leafs, where maybe Tampa passes them. Tampa's in Ottawa tonight. Again, the Leafs play Tampa next week in Tampa. That game is going to be significant.
They better win.
They better snap out of it, because like the Habs are at home against Boston tonight. Like, Boston's dead last in the East. I got to admit, I was not aware that they had sunk below Buffalo.
I saw it today, and I have to admit, it was like when the guy handed me my first child and I cradled it. I looked down and I saw that. Man, did that feel good. And I accidentally sent it to one of our close friends at the network there
Yeah.
who happens to be a high-ranking producer, and I just said, chew on that. You're down where you deserve to be.
Yeah, that is shocking to see. But like they've lost 9 in a row.
Dude, to put it into perspective, they have a minus 52 goal differential. We talk about Pittsburgh being horrible. They're at minus 56, and they're ahead of the Bruins.
Yeah.
But how long? Like, that's a fall. Like, I don't think Doogie. Tell me how long ago they were in like that Columbus Ranger spot. Like, it didn't.
It wasn't long ago, man. Like
dude, that's like a 3-week tailspin.
Yeah, they're the 76ers of the NHL. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah,
like,
but if you're going to miss, man, go all the way down
yeah,
there.
like they might win the lottery, dude. They might end up with the first pick overall. Like it was because they were touch and go leading up to the trade deadline. They were in the playoffs, out of the playoffs, in the playoffs, out of the playoffs. Like they were right there hovering. And now they've lost 9 in a row. They have spiraled out of control. They are getting dummied by almost everyone. They're tanking. Like I guess they're tanking.
March
now.
1st, the Bruins were 2 points out of the final playoff spot.
Right.
They were tied with the Ottawa Senators March 1st.
Now they're 29th overall and dead last.
And they had a minus 27 goal differential. And now they're a minus 52.
Do you think Buffalo has the audacity to look at that and shake hands in the room? Say, hey, boys, we're no longer dead last in the East.
Dude, I'm telling you,
Congratulations.
Buffalo.
Don't start.
You stop it right now.
Start.
Buffalo is my cheat team next year,
Okay.
and we are going to do some damage because they're
Really?
figuring things out.
Are they?
And if Reimer can be a quality backup and they can get some kind of stud, because I want a Colorado situation where both goalies are flipped and plane tickets going somewhere else. I want a stud in net, and let's rock it from there. Lindy
Okay.
Ruff, let's go.
I cannot buy into that.
I'll never buy into it.
I am not there yet.
14 years in a row they missed the playoffs.
And the good people of Buffalo deserve better. They
Sure.
really do.
Yeah, they got Josh Allen, though. Like, if you have Josh Allen and you got the Bills and they go to the AFC Championship
So
game every
that's
year,
all they get.
listen, it is a
That
great
and
hockey
Chippewa.
market. This is particularly tough. I mean, 14 years in a row of missing the playoffs when you've got a long, rich history and they've been around forever. And yeah, it sucks, man. It really does suck. But
JP, our crack staff board op, just said January 29th, the Boston Bruins were in a wild card spot.
yeah, crazy, man. Like that's not even 40 days ago. Oh no, it would be. What is that? How many days is that? 60 days?
Man.
It's not that many though. It's not that many. I skipped a month. February's a bad month. No one counts February. Cut February out, and it's under 40.
They better draft well, right? Like you got to draft well
Boston?
now. You got to like this is your chance to rebuild things.
Yeah,
So,
I guess so.
You know, you got to hit on some picks, or else you're going to be here
If
for a
there's any
while.
team
for
that
sure.
can pull a Washington next year and kind of retool on the fly, it'll be the Boston Bruins.
You mean the team that fired Jim Montgomery because it was on him that team was so bad?
I know,
That
this
Boston
is-
Bruins team?
Not a good. It's kind of like the Chicago Blackhawks of the East.
But I bet you if you asked Jimmy, he'd be like, look, we're out of time on this one. Like,
yeah, he's probably
you
ecstatic.
got to flush
man.
guys out, get younger guys in there. I don't really want to
No,
stay
for
for that
sure, but
anyway. So it's probably the only thing you got left to do.
That
Unless
was-
you said to Jimmy, you want to be patient here and we're a couple years away. But I guarantee you, well, the one thing they got to figure out too, and I'm glad Noodles isn't here because I love blaming goaltending for everything. Swayman's been terrible. this year. Terrible.
He'll be better though. I mean that seems like a lock. Like a healthy, prepared, full off-season, full training camp Swayman. I'd be willing to put some money on him bouncing back next
There's
year.
a long way to go because I've seen him some nights where I'm like, that is not even close to the same guy that got that.
They need a
contract.
lot of guys back. They need the Lindholms playing. They need
Good luck.
McAvoy.
Yeah, I hear you. They need McAvoy exactly. Like you still have.
They need a first-line center still.
Yeah.
The worst thing that happened to the Bruins was last year. Like they kind of fooled everyone thinking like we made the right moves and we're
Charlie
okay
Coyle,
and
we got Zaka.
It wasn't going to last long big picture.
Florida put an end to that pretty quickly. We'll get into Brad Marchand and his play last night. Also, Sam Bennett, little sneaky play on John Tavares in the third. We'll get your take on that, what we thought may have happened or didn't happen last night. Also, some crazy fights last night in Carolina, the Washington game last night. We'll touch on that. We got some big games in the NHL this evening. The Raptors back in action as well tonight. And Mark Giordano coming up just after 5 o'clock. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Mark Giordano later this afternoon. Catch up with Brian Mudryk ahead of Habs Bruins at the Bell Center tonight. I've got my Hazy B list we'll get to. Also, I saw Gary Player ranking his majors 1 through 4.
You got to tell Gary. It's a very simple call from Freddie Ridley. You call up Jerry Player and you say, your time's done here. I don't care how many. You can come to the dinner and then get lost. Because it seems like every year he takes a shot, and one year his son was stealing golf balls, and he's hitting tee shots and doing a scissor kick in the. Like, dude, he's bad for business, man. He's bad for business.
So here's what Gary Player said. This is how he ranked his 4 majors. Number 1, he said, the Open, the British Open, is by far the greatest tournament on the planet. I rate the Open at 1, the U.S. Open at 2, the PGA at 3, and the Masters at 4, which is the most insane thing to say.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
territory.
at the Champions Dinner on Tuesday night, if I'm Fred Ridley, I'm going to go up to him and say, you know, you come here, Gary, and you eat your heart out. You put your green jacket on, and we welcome you back every year. And a week before the tournament, you got to blab your mouth and say that we're the 4th best major championship. So stuff your face and get drunk with Stads and Woozy over there and get lost.
Yeah, I agree
Dude,
with you.
get lost.
Was there
man.
any context to it? Did he have any kind of explanation?
No.
why?
Well, somebody must have been asking him about the Masters, and he was like, the Masters? What the hell about the Masters? I got the British Open as the...
Which, listen,
I'm telling you, every year.
I can deal with the Open being won, the oldest championship ever. You know, he's South African. He's from that part of the world, quote unquote. I get it. It's more in Europe and in Britain, but maybe that was the first one he played in, and you gotta play your way in. It's an Open championship, larger field. I get that. Like I can live with that. That's fine. Having the PGA championship
exactly.
at 3
That's where it went too far.
is absolutely absurd. Like I prefer to go to Valhalla and play the PGA as opposed
I think
to
players take the Players Championship more seriously than the PGA.
I agree. I think Pebble might be higher on the list.
If you switched out the PGA for the Players, or I don't know, the Heritage at this point,
just make the PGA Championship at Sawgrass every year, and that's the 4th major.
But you could
do that.
That's a plug and play major. You could flop it out for one of 5 other tournaments and say this is the same thing, and people would be like, "Yeah, sure it is."
Nobody
There's
on
only
earth.
one Masters, just like the Open. There's only one Open.
Yeah,
but
sure.
There's only one Masters.
But it's all because Player. Yes, he's bent out of shape because his kid was there with some like.
Dude, he was stealing Jack Nicklaus's golf balls or something. He was doing something stupid.
He was promoting something. He was wearing a shirt that said like jerryplayer.com or something, and they're like, "Can you not wear that? Like you're hitting ceremonial golf balls here. You're out here at the par 3, and your kid is trying to promote some company that you're involved in. We'd prefer if you didn't do that." And then there was some other allegation that he was taking something. Something was going on. And yeah, Jerry Player's just all bent out of shape. But
you know who's in a world of hurt right now? My guy Max Homa, man.
Disaster.
He gassed his caddy, and he's +4 through 8 holes. Like
you took him. I told you not to touch him. He was plus
I
150.
thought there was going to be a response.
He was 150 to 1 on FanDuel.
And dude, this caddy was his
tournament.
best friend.
Yeah, you're in a
What
dark
is the caddy?
place.
Like, why these guys? They always gas the caddy.
Well, it's like firing the assistant coaches. You know, it's a desperate move, and it's a move where you know you're in big trouble, and you have this urgency to do something to prove that you're doing something.
You've got to do something. I can understand if you're firing the caddy, if it's like, you know, the yardages aren't, or he's not doing the walk through the way you want. Like, it's a work ethic thing. Like, I see what you're doing preparation-wise, and I don't think that is sufficient enough to help me. But, like, Max Homa, he's been struggling for a while now. Right, like this is not just some like this is not something new that just happened just out of nowhere. His game has not been in a good place. So whether it's the swing coach or him, like mental coach, like it's not the caddy.
No, it's not the caddy. It's Max. Max has the issue, but yeah, he's not in a good place. I'm assuming that he's qualified for the Masters. I'm sure he's still top 50 in the world. I would think so, anyway. But look that up, Doogie. Make sure Homa's in there. All right, Muddy coming up. Brian Mudryk in about 10 minutes. This Chatfield-Carmichael fight last night. So Carolina and Washington. Carolina blew the doors off Washington last night, and they're divisional rivals. It's a long-standing rivalry. They might meet each other in the second round. Ovi scored, which is awkward because he snuck one in, and the game was already, I think, 4-0 at that point. But everyone's jacked for Ovi, so he's 3 off the record. But there was a fight last night that broke out, and Chatfield's I don't think of him as like a heavyweight or anything like that, but I think he knows how to fight. And I don't really know much history of Carmichael as a fighter, but he wanted a piece of him, so they went at it. We're watching it on TSN4. And at the end, Carmichael, he sweeps him. McMichael, yes. Sorry, McMichael, not Carmichael. How many times did I just say it, too? 15 times. He sweeps him, and then it's kind of a UFC, like, takedown, GSP
Dude,
type
it's a
move.
dirty play. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel, but that is dirty, and that's 6 inches away from being very, very bad news for McMichael. I'm sorry. That is. I don't know if there's a rule on takedowns on fights in the NHL rule book. So you can't go to it and you say, well, this is rule 45.8, and so we can suspend him under that. But that is an absolute intent to injure. And that should be nowhere near an NHL fight. That should have been 20 games. I'm sorry.
I think it's completely insane that the league didn't even touch that. Like, there's a slew foot involved there. Like, you've got to do something with that so that every player knows going forward that they're not even going to attempt this. That's how you deal with that right there.
And you have a responsibility.
There's going to be a bunch of different variations of guys doing stupid garbage like that. Like, what the hell are they watching?
Listen,
that was as goofy as Trouba on Frederick, where he almost knocked his head off into the top row and there was nothing. But this is a gong show, man.
Dude, so you're willing to fight. Okay, which is fine. You're going to throw punches. Like, I have all the time in the world for that. Wasn't my cup of tea, but, like, I can understand guys that want to do it and do it. But then the league has a responsibility to say the confines of the fight are you grab a jersey, you throw punches. Once it's not a UFC takedown. Like, they have a responsibility to protect the player that got taken down. That's the thing,
Frankie, where it's like a gray area where he's going to say, that's how I fight, or the definition of what's fighting is going to come into play. But I just look at that, and to stop that, you hammer him with something. I don't know if it's 5 games, whether it's 3 games, but you let everybody know that if you pull that garbage, you're not getting away with it.
God forbid his head hit the ice first, which is 6 inches away from happening.
But here's the thing.
Like, give me a break.
Oh, here we go.
No, here's the thing. I disagree with both of you. I think it's difficult. I think it's incredibly difficult to legislate intent when you're literally in a fight. And this is the issue that the league has. If you're going to allow fighting, we've all been in them in different capacities.
So you think he was just flailing around and grabbing
listen, I'm
whatever?
not saying I like it. I'm not saying I'm comfortable with it. But what I'm saying is I think it's very difficult to argue that there needs to be rules that are legislated within the fight that go, obviously if you bite someone, if you use your skate. But there's a history in this league of guys that are on the ice and they can't protect themselves, and guys are wailing on them. Like some of the most famous fights we've ever seen. Some of our favorite fights.
We're talking like old times.
Old
right?
time. Yes, but the point is, if you're going to allow fighting, when you guys know it, when you're in a fight, man, it's violent. It's violent and it's scary. And you're in there and you're thinking, man, I got to hold on for dear life. I got to win this fight. That's what I'm doing here. I'm here to fight. And to me, he broke an unwritten code. I think it's more you would have the right for Tom Wilson to tap on him next time and say, you got to pay for that.
He's getting
that. I'm not
and
disagreeing
Tom Wilson doesn't have to even wait for him to oblige.
That's
I think
fine.
with how greasy that was, Wilson can say, I'm punching you right now.
Listen,
or I'm not even telling you.
I get it, but like takedowns happen. They're dangerous. They're always dangerous. Takedowns happen. Guys throw bombs. There's fights where some guy's 6'9", the other guy's 5'7". If you're going to have fighting in the game, unfortunately, you're going to have plays like that.
Well, what's fascinating about
if you're going to have it, you got to allow it. Like, that's the way I stand.
Gary Bettman was in the building for that.
Yeah, and they haven't. They're not going to suspend him. They're not going to fine him. They're not going to do anything.
Like Hayes, what did like?
I'm not saying
I understand
like
what you do. I get it. I get it. But if
man.
the league came out and said they gave him 5 games for that, what would you be saying today?
I would be able to reason with why they would.
So why not just do it and get it over with?
But then where do you draw the line? If a guy beats the hell out of somebody else, should he have stopped? Where do we draw the line on a fight where you say, okay, you broke his nose, his jaw, you knocked out teeth, and you kept punching? I'm
it's a
suspending
good point,
you.
but
Where do you
I
draw
just
the
didn't
line?
like what I saw there. I thought that was
I know
trash.
that. I get it. I think it was an unwritten code that was broken, but I don't think it's a code of the NHL rules, because I think the NHL is sensitive to the fact that it's difficult to legislate a literal fight. Like, you're in it to win it, man. Like, that's how fights work. You drop the gloves, you're like, I got to win this fight. And it can get greasy, it can get dicey, and it was scary last night. It could have been really bad. Luckily, it wasn't. We'll see what Mark Giordano has to say about that. Gio coming up in about 25 minutes. Bell Center will be rocking tonight, I'm sure. We got the Bruins in town playing the Habs. Big game, big 2 points for Montreal. Brian Mudryk coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Leafs back in action on Saturday against Columbus. Mark Giordano coming up in about 20 minutes. Brian Mudryk will join us here in a moment. Bell Center should be electric this evening.
It was crazy on Tuesday.
Looked amazing in there. Like,
Yeah.
what was the bigger pop, the tying goal or the winner?
The winner. The tying one was big, but it was like, you guys just watched Florida play, clogging things up. Nothing's really happening. They stayed with it. They got a bounce. They scored. Everyone went crazy. But the 3-on-3 buildup, because you could see it really starting to pick up, and I think Muddy's energy was picking up, and then it was a huge pop. And tonight's a massive game, and unfortunately we're not doing it. But if we got to know how tight would Muddy's pants be, because the bigger the game, the tighter the pants he wears.
Really?
That's a general rule for him. Yeah.
Oh, I could see that being the case. I could see him 82 different suits for every possible game he could call. 82 different suits.
Yeah.
Here he is, the voice of the Habs, Brian Mudryk. What's happening, Muddy?
I don't know, Hazy B. I don't think, maybe no pants, right? That big a game. I mean, that's quite the intro. I don't think I've had an intro like that. But Francesco, thank you for that, Francesco. Thank you.
Anytime,
During the
buddy.
anthem, you just take them right off and fold them up and sit them in the corner.
Wide power stance, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I guarantee
Guys.
you wouldn't be the first guy to do that. I guarantee it.
Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that.
That's true. What a grind here, man. What a build up. And you've been calling, Montreal Canadiens games on TSN for years now, Muddy. Have you experienced anything like this? Like the build up and the buzz and the pop at the Bell Center these days?
It's really special, Brian. It's been awesome. I say it all the time. It's the best job in the world. It's the best office in the world. And, listening to your show a lot, and you guys talk about it, there is no better place on earth any night, especially a Saturday night, obviously, but at the Bell Center, especially when the team is going. And there's only been a few moments that I've been involved of. Obviously, we don't have the playoffs, but when Patty Waugh came back for the first time as a coach, Slavkovsky's first goal, Laine's first goal. The COVID year was tough, obviously. It was special. They were going to make the playoffs, but no fans, right? So until later they got outside. I don't recall goosebumps like that when Suzuki pulls off. They got a break, obviously, but they'll take it. They played better. They got the break. He pumped in with 8 seconds to go, and then the overtime goal. And I think Frankie can attest to this. The beauty of getting to call that is you're so in the moment, you don't even expect it. And I think that comes out naturally because it's such it's a cool place. It's a very, very special place, the Bell Center, to call a game.
Muddy, I know you guys had some fun with your tweet about Hutson, but when you watched him early on, did you think that he could have the success that he's having? He's going to win the Rookie of the Year. But he's a small guy, and he's even smaller in stature than Quinn Hughes or Makar. Did you think it would work this well, and he'd be what he's become?
Well, it's funny, Frankie and I, when he comes out at the beginning and the kids come out to hold the Habs flags and stuff, you think he's tiny. He is a little guy. You hear about the years where Johnny Gaudreau played in the NHL, and they thought that he wasn't even a player because he's a little guy, but when I saw him, you got to give the scouting staff a lot of credit for Montreal, right? I mean, me and Craig Button were blessed. We go to these U18s and we watched him. But he was so noticeable, though. The way he shifted, the way he moved, it's you don't really see players like that. And you saw that at the U18 level and then the World Junior level. And every single time you think, okay, someone's going to thump this guy, right? He's going to get lined up by, a bigger player, and he's going to get pummeled, and he's down. Can't hit the guy. Patrick Kane is his favorite player. How many times do you remember Patty Kane getting throttled, during his Hall of Fame NHL career, right? And then he comes up to the NHL, and the first 2 games of last season, he played Detroit. He set up Slav's goal, his 20th, so Slafkovsky got his bonus for his 20th goal. He made this shifty move at the blue line, dangled the guy, and threw it towards the net, and bang, Slav tipped it in. I'm not going to suggest that I was going to, he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but I can just tell you this, so every single level, he's proven everyone wrong. I believed in him since I saw him. And when he slid to to the second round in that draft, I was like, this could be the steal, man. Like, this kid, he has IQ and the ability to see the ice. And Frankie can talk about this. The way he defends bigger players, we watched it all year. He might get burned by a player. Then the next time, you would think they could scout Lane Hutson. He's got a book on you, man, and he'll play you in the corner, and he doesn't get hit. He uses the body. He gets in your hands, and he finds that way to steal the puck. And I think his gambler mentality has slowed down a little bit in the sense that I feel now, Marty accepts that, Marty St. Louis, and the player he is, but he's gotten way better at deciding when to gamble and when to make a play and when there's nothing there.
The defensive thing is really cool because, at the start of the season, you would watch him sometimes. Okay, maybe he's getting burned or he might be trying to do too much. But like they always say, 200 games for an NHL defenseman. Like this guy's kind of figured it out in short order. And Muddy, you and I, we get to talk to Marty after every morning skate. We kind of value that. And he tells us some interesting stuff. Like any conversations that stick out to you that we may have had with him this season where either Hutson came up or the team or Suzuki that you're like, man, that was really well put, and like you can understand where the players kind of get it from with Marty?
Well, there's a couple things that stand out throughout the season. Is the first one is like Lane just doesn't seem to get tired. We forget, guys, he just played at Boston University. Like the NHL grind against the best players in the world, against big guys that are physical forwards. When you look at a Barkov or a Draisaitl or go down the list, right? It is a different beast and it's a different animal. We asked Marty on that road trip, and I said to him, I'm like, do you ever he was popping 28 minutes per game, Frankie? And I remember, I think he hit 28 minutes one game, and I said to Marty, I'm like, do you worry about this kid because he'll be the first kid out on the ice the next day at an optional. Like you can't take him off the ice. He doesn't take days off. And Marty's like, nah, I'm going to let Lane do Lane, man. I'm not getting in his wheelhouse. He can go do his thing. And we've watched it. We've all got to watch it. But the kid is a hockey junkie. He loves it. He comes out in the morning first. A lot of times at morning skate, he'll work by himself in the corner net and he'll work on his shot. And you cannot drag this kid off the ice. Maybe someday he's gonna have to take a break. But man, the motor is high. And his drive and his compete is next level. And how do you not love the kid?
Yeah, he's an incredible player to watch, thoroughly entertaining to watch play with Brian Mudryk. And I was pumping the tires of Nick Suzuki the other day after he played the way he played, and he's been great as well. And someone wrote me and said, Suzuki's great, but Hudson's the superstar of this team. Hutson is the face or will be the face of the Habs. Do you see it that way, Muddy? How when you're in town, when you're at the Bell Center, when you're interacting with Montreal Canadiens fans, has he already reached that level where he's the guy in terms of the Habs and the way fans are going to react?
Until this Demidov kid arrives?
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, you know what? No, it's a great point. I would suggest, Hazy, that had brought this up. I forget which show, but it was a while back. But the thing with Suzuki and the thing with Hutson, I would say that Hutson is going to be the guy for sure. But what Nick brings, the intangible that we don't talk about enough with what Nick brings to this team is how respected he is. He is an old soul. Shea Weber called this 2 years before Shea retired, that Nick Suzuki was going to be the next captain of the Montreal Canadiens. And it's how he operates, outside on the road with fans. He'll take young guys. There was a story, I think it was Mishar was drafted, and you come to the first camp, and Nick reaches out, hey man, let's go for a coffee. Like makes a point that these kids that are coming up, that Nick makes sure that everyone is on board with the culture. And I think, Frankie, you can attest to this too. The one thing that Jeff Gorton Kent Hughes should be really proud of, that is a real quality room. That is a room of young men in there that are really tight and are really awesome. And I think Nick Suzuki's stamp is all over that. Hudson's got the flash and the dash, and he's very exciting, don't get me wrong. But, Nick Suzuki, let me just be clear, is a number one center in the National Hockey League, and he is an outstanding leader, and I think he's the catalyst for other players to have that success that you're talking about, Brian.
For sure, every day of the week. And I think For Suzuki, he's only going to get better, Brian, because at some point there's going to be more reinforcements for this team. Like there could be another second-line center next year. Demidov is going to be there. Like so, the outlook for Suzuki looks better when there's more underneath him as far as talent. But like, what do you make of how resilient this group has been? You just talked about the character in that locker room. Are you surprised with all the comebacks and the resilient play that we've seen from this group this year?
Not really, and I only say that just because that goes through the other leader, and his name is Marty St. Louis. I mean, when you have a Hall of Famer like Marty, who has been in the minors, who was sent down, who was a fourth-line player, who was put on like all of it, right? There's not one player in Montreal's room, the skilled guys down to like the grinder guys like a Pizzetta that Marty loves for his energy, right? No one can look at Martin St. Louis and go, well, I'm not listening to this guy. Like they love Marty. I think Marty really takes the time to coach like individually as well and as a team and with the systems. And I think there's a belief in that room that Marty, and it's taken a while. You ask the veterans like Brendan Gallagher, like it's taken time. Cole Caulfield talked about that early in the year. Like it's taken time for this, the hard work, but now it's paying off. And now in these close games, like they don't give up, and they truly do believe. The question mark at times I would suggest is the goaltending. Dobish came out like red hot, shut out the Panthers like insane. The shine's come off a little bit. Samuel Montembeault is having a heck of a year. Whatever he soaked up at that Four Nations, I know he didn't play, but that was incredible. But, Frankie, I truly believe that those guys never believe they're out of a game. And you can say that sometimes. I believe it. I believe it.
Well, Muddy, it'll be a fun one tonight. And again, on Saturday night, they got Philly. Then they're at Nashville. You got 3 games you got to get here. You try to get 5-6 points of your Montreal, and you take it from there to these next 3 games. It's been a great ride, great calls all season. I know you got a few more left in you, so enjoy it. And we appreciate you doing this today.
Anytime, guys. We'll see you at Summit Golf and Country Club on me
yes.
this year.
Lock it in. We'll be there. We will 100% be there. Cannot wait.
Chat then.
We'll chat then. Thank you, Muddy.
Wow. Brian our material on the way out the door, too.
What an invite on the way out, too, man.
Well,
that's
we got to take him up on that.
100%. Yeah, Muddy's like the king of the Summit, though.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys had your first fight, Frankie, you and Muddy? I know you guys are super buddies. You call the games together. Has there been one incident where he's like, you damn did it this time, Frankie. You pissed me off.
You talked over me.
You guys have had to have had one argument.
No, it's all good.
We'll find one for you. We'll get one. We'll instigate one. All right, Mark Giordano coming up. Hazy B's list still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.